And Abuja High Court ruling has firmly cleared the legal path for Nigeria's ambitious new tax laws to take effect on January 1st, 2026, dispelling efforts by an advocacy group to halt the reform package through judicial intervention. The court's decision, delivered on Tuesday, dismissed a suit brought by the Incorporated Trustees of African Initiative for Abuse of Public Trustees, which had sought to restrain the federal government, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, and the National Assembly from implementing the newly enacted tax legislation. At the center of the legal challenge were 4 landmark reform bills signed into law in 2025: the Nigeria Tax Act, Nigeria Tax Administration Act, Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Act, and the Joint Revenue Board of Nigeria Establishment Act. These laws collectively consolidate and replace several existing tax statutes, including personal income tax, companies tax, value-added tax, capital gains tax, and stamp duties, as part of a broader strategy to streamline Nigeria's tax system and improve domestic revenue mobilization. The plaintiff had argued that discrepancies existed between versions of the tax laws passed by the National Assembly and those that were ultimately gazetted, and sought an interim injunction to delay implementation until the substantive suit was heard. The group also wanted the president barred from enforcing the new laws across the federation. However, Justice Kawa ruled that the application lacked merit and failed to establish any substantial legal grounds to prevent the rollout. The judge held that the plaintiffs did not demonstrate how implementation would cause irreparable harm or violate the Constitution, asserting that fiscal policy, including tax reform, falls squarely within government powers. He further explained that once a law is duly enacted and gazetted, any alleged errors must be addressed through legislative amendment or a substantive court order, rather than by halting implementation. With the application struck out, the court affirmed there is no legal impediment to starting the new tax regime as originally scheduled. This gives the federal government and tax authorities a green light to begin enforcement and compliance activities from January 1st, 2026. The reform laws are central to the government's broader economic agenda aimed at boosting revenue, modernizing tax administration, and closing loopholes in Nigeria's existing system. Key elements include harmonizing multiple taxes into a more streamlined framework, expanding the tax base to capture new categories of taxpayers, enhancing protections for low-income earners and small businesses, and introducing digital reporting and compliance tools to improve efficiency. The creation of the Nigeria Revenue Service is also intended to strengthen coordination and enforcement across federal and subnational levels. While the federal government has described the reforms as necessary for stabilizing public finance and supporting infrastructure and social services, the laws have generated intense public debate. Critics, including civil society organizations and some political actors, alleged inconsistencies in the text of the laws and called for suspension and regazetting before implementation, prompting the legal challenge now dismissed by the court. Reactions to the High Court's ruling have been mixed. Some stakeholders view the decision as a major boost for the reform agenda, saying it removes a key obstacle that could have delayed implementation. Others maintain that broader engagement, clearer guidelines, and greater public awareness are still needed to ensure that the transition to the new regime is smooth and equitable. As it stands, Nigeria is now on track to begin enforcing its most comprehensive tax reform in decades, with authorities preparing systems, processes, and communications to support the nationwide rollout.